The Galactic Conservation Institute's outpost on Terex 4 hummed with its usual controlled chaos. Lyra stood in the observation deck, datapad in hand, watching the pride of Kesharan cubs tumble across the enclosure below. The Kesharans were apex predators, sleek, six-limbed felines with obsidian fur that shimmered like oil slicks and eyes that glowed amber in the dim light. Their species had been rescued from extinction after their homeworld's ecosystem collapsed, and now 73 cubs called this sanctuary home. Lyra had been their handler for 8 months, long enough to earn their trust. Long enough to forget, occasionally, that these weren't Earth's lions or tigers, but something far more intelligent and infinitely more dangerous. Handler Lyra. The station AI chimed. Cub Seko is requesting your presence in Sector 7. Lyra smiled. Seko always requested her presence. The young Kesharan had imprinted on her during his first weeks at the facility, following her like a shadow, whenever regulations permitted. At 4 months old, he already stood waist-high to Lyra, his developing musculature evident beneath his kit's soft fur. She found him in the enrichment sector, sitting with unusual stillness beside a holographic projection of Keshara's ancient forests. His tail, typically in constant motion, lay curved around his haunches. "Hey, little hunter," Lyra said, crouching to his eye level. "What's going on?" Seko's ears swiveled toward her. When he spoke, the translator rendered his rumbling vocalizations into standard. "Lyra Guardian, I am tired, but the pride does not rest. The second sun has not yet fallen." Lyra studied him. Kesharans were cursorial predators, built for pursuit and endurance. Their natural circadian rhythm followed a 30-hour cycle with minimal rest periods. But Seko had been showing signs of stress lately. Irritability, decreased appetite, slower reflexes during training exercises. "Come here," Lyra said, settling cross-legged on the floor. After a moment's hesitation, Seko padded over and collapsed beside her, his massive head coming to rest in her lap. The gesture was profoundly un-Kesharan. Their species didn't do vulnerability. Lyra stroked the space between his ears, feeling the subtle vibration of his breathing. "You know what humans do when we're tired?" she asked softly. "Hunt less efficiently?" Seko's attempt at humor made her chuckle. "We take naps. Short sleeps in the middle of the day. Just 20 or 30 minutes to recharge." Her fingers traced the distinctive stripe pattern behind his ears. "When I was growing up, my grandmother used to make everyone in the house take a midday nap. She called it mandatory rest time. We'd all pile up in the living room. Me, my brothers, even the dogs, and just sleep together in a heap." Seko's eyes, which had been drifting shut, snapped open. "A sleep pile? With the pack?" "Exactly. This is tactically unsound. Predators require vigilance. Predators require rest," Lyra countered. "Even the best hunters need to recover. That's not weakness, Seko. That's wisdom." The cub was quiet for a long moment, processing. Then, "Show me." That's how it started. Lyra cleared it with Director Voss first, naturally. The Talvexian director had concerns Kesharans weren't supposed to exhibit pack-sleeping behavior, and introducing human concepts to an endangered species raised ethical questions. But Lyra presented the data. Decreased stress hormones, improved cognitive function, better social bonding. All observed benefits of napping in species ranging from humans to Andoran cloud swimmers. 1 trial period. Voss agreed finally. "But if the cubs show any signs of behavioral regression, I'll shut it down immediately," Lyra promised. The first sleep pile time was an experiment with just 5 cubs, Seko included. Lyra dimmed the lights in the common area, activated white noise generators that mimicked Keshara's wind-swept plains, and settled onto a cushioned mat. Seko immediately claimed his spot against her side. The others watched with wary curiosity. "It's okay," Lyra murmured. "You're safe here. Just rest." Slowly, tentatively, they came. First Mira, the smallest of the group, who tucked herself against Seko's flank. Then the twins, Kor and Kessa, who curled up back-to-back nearby. Finally, gruff old Wren at 6 months, practically an elder who flopped down with dramatic reluctance at the pile's edge. Lyra felt the weight of them. The warmth. The trust. She kept her breathing, slow and steady, a living anchor of calm. Within 10 minutes, all 5 cubs were asleep, their sides rising and falling in synchrony. When they woke 30 minutes later, Seko looked at Lyra with something like wonder in his luminous eyes. "I dreamed of the first hunt," he said quietly. "For the first time since leaving the natal den." Fren. Word spread through the pride like wildfire. By the end of the first week, 20 cubs were participating. They started calling it sleep pile time in their own language, a new phrase they'd collectively invented. The phenomenon fascinated the xenobiologists. Kesherans were restructuring their social behavior in real time, incorporating a foreign concept into their cultural framework. But it was Seko who escalated things. 3 weeks into the program, Lyra arrived at the facility to find every single cub assembled in the main enclosure. They sat in formation, Seko at their head, tails swishing with synchronized determination. "Handler Lyra," Seko announced formally, his voice carrying the ceremonial inflection of a pride leader. "We, the cubs of Keshara, have reached consensus. Sleep pile time is now mandatory. Every midday, for all humans and Kesharans in the facility." Lyra blinked. "Seko, you can't just—" "The director has already been informed," Seko continued, his ears tilted with barely suppressed pride. Mira delivered the declaration to her office. "We have also prepared a schedule. You will see that we have accounted for essential personnel, with rotating participation to maintain facility operations." Director Voss appeared in the observation deck above, her chitinous features unreadable. Then, incredibly, the Talvexian began to laugh, a clicking, buzzing sound. "They've organized a revolution," she called down to Lyra. "A revolution for napping. I've approved their proposal. It seems our predator cubs have become quite persuasive." That afternoon, Lyra found herself in the center of the largest sleep pile yet. 73 Kesharan cubs arranged themselves in a massive, purring heap. Director Voss joined them, her exoskeleton clicking softly as she settled at the edge. Even the maintenance crew participated, humans and aliens alike, drawn into the peaceful ritual. Seko pressed close to Lyra's side, his rumbling purr vibrating through her bones. "Is this what family feels like?" he asked softly. In human terms, Lyra felt tears prick her eyes. These cubs had lost their world, their wild places, their natural way of life. But here, in this strange sanctuary, they were building something new, taking pieces of human culture and weaving them into their own tapestry of survival. "Yeah," she whispered, stroking his ears. "This is exactly what family feels like." As sleep claimed the pile, Lyra's last conscious thought was that the Galactic Conservation Institute would need to update its protocols. Because the Kesharans hadn't just learned about naps, they'd learned that sometimes the fiercest thing a predator can do is rest. Together.